Ladies and gentlemen, the boys are back. KBW podcast is here. I know it's been a minute. I know the schedule's kind of wonky right now, but we are here for another issue, another episode of the KBW podcast. I am the assassin, AK-47, and I am who I am, and I am different from everybody else. I know you missed that. Now let's go to my other guests.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, the biggest and baddest in all of KBW, Dut, a.k.a. Bulldozer here.
And I am the best at what I do, Mr. Better Than You, KAGE, also known as Fuego Del Sol. And boys, the podcast is in the tank, boys. It's done. It's over.
As AK said, it's
cooked,
cooked,
bro.
It's cooked.
It's cooked, bro.
This is the funeral of the KBW podcast. We're announcing this is the last one ever.
Oh,
Thanks,
God.
everybody. See you.
R.I.P.
I appreciate everyone, all the feedback and all the great support. And now KBW is back, going to its hiatus. Maybe never post again.
Might see y'all in 10 years, might not.
To be honest. Yeah, oh yeah. No, but yeah, guys, we had a hectic schedule last week. Let me just explain to you guys what the plan was and what it turned into. So first and foremost, I do all the editing for the podcast, right? So most of the time I schedule ahead of time. We film the podcast a week before it's supposed to go up, so I have ample time to edit. However, March is my busiest month for independent shows. So I'm wrestling 2 to 3 times a weekend every single weekend. So that really only gives me Thursday and sometimes Friday and maybe Sunday, sometimes Monday to get the podcast up by Tuesday. But as you know, we have a KBW membership. So you got to get it up early for members. And so if we're editing a reacts and a podcast and I have a busy weekend, it's rough. Then this past week, I got a message from the WWE. They asked me to work backstage on Raw Monday, so I was going for that. And God forbid anything happens with my children or my wife or something in that schedule gets thrown, a wrench gets thrown in. I've been pretty good about it for what? We've been 13 weeks deep now. I haven't really had an issue. This was the major first issue week for the podcast. Also, I'm not taking all the blame. But before I get to the next one, I want to at least thank all of our KBW executive producers. I'm talking the KBW members that make this thing possible. If you are subscribed at the highest tier, the KBW Difference Maker tier, you get a shout out at the beginning of the podcast. But don't worry, because if you're just a member, you still will get shouted out in the credits at the end of the video. But for my awesome KBW executive producers, my difference makers, I want to say thank you to Cavante Bowser, Man Ray, Jax Allen, NYEROH, Michael Baxley, DJ Murder, Leviathan King, Birdo32, Ash Crimson, the One-Eyed God, and Big Time Mike.
Big time. Hey, man.
Guys, it's going to be a bitch to edit with all the fucking... I said your names, guys. I promise. Bulldozer threw me off. I said your names. So, 4 different membership tiers. Check it all out. Hit the join button. Y'all know what to do. It's in the link below. Last week, we were working on getting both Mick the Brick and T-Rex on the podcast at the same time. However,
at the same damn time. I'm sorry.
On the phone, cook your dope. Podcast is cooked, bro. Down the toilet.
Oh man.
We got some breaking news though, guys.
Yeah.
We got some breaking news. The Ferocious Tag Team have broken up in real life. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
There's some unknown. So let me just preface this by saying, Bulldozer, we've said it before, still lives in Alabama. AK currently based in Albany, New York. I have been in Oklahoma for nearly 10 years now. I have not been keeping up with a bunch of the KBW rosters' lives. I don't know who's friends and who's not. Apparently there was a falling out, and Mick the Brick is who we contacted first to be on the podcast. And he said, absolutely, for you guys, I'll do it, of course. We said, okay, we're scheduling it for this Wednesday. Then I was like, man, what a great idea. What if we get both Mick the Brick and T-Rex on the pod together? Ferocious Tag Team, the Renegades, reunite. And so I messaged T-Rex, and he said, yes, I'll do it, but I can't do it this Wednesday. Can I do it next Wednesday? Right? And I said, oh, absolutely, of course. And so then I let Mick the Brick know, and he said, you know what? I didn't, me and him are not necessarily cool anymore. Or we don't, his exact words, we don't talk anymore. But yeah, I could do it next Wednesday with him. Next Wednesday rolls around. T-Rex doesn't answer my text. Will not answer my call. I message him days in a row. Does not answer. Right? Or I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me go back. I messaged T-Rex right before the podcast. He says I need to reschedule. I said, all good. We will reschedule for the following week. However, I did not let Mick the Brick know we were rescheduling for the following week. I thought they were talking. I didn't know they weren't talking about this. I thought they had coordinated. They had not. The following week comes. Third week, we're trying to get these guys on the pod. I messaged T-Rex. He ghosted me. No responses to my phone call. No responses to my messages. Then I messaged Mick the Brick and said, hey, we would love to get you still on the pod. He said, hey, y'all didn't message me last week. And I really didn't want to do it with T-Rex. I wanted to do it by myself. And so you know what? I felt insulted last week. I don't even want to do the podcast no more. So, unknown drama going on there. So we scrambled. We tried to figure out what we were going to do. We ended up doing the triple threat last week. And then we had another guest that we thought could get on last week, and he never came on. So we postponed the podcast for a week. And so we missed a week of the podcast last week. We had filmed the triple threat, which went out, and everybody saw. Then we thought, okay, we'll get Paul Wall. We've been working hard on getting Paul Wall as a guest. As we get up this morning to film this, I get a message from Bulldozer saying Paul Wall is a no-go tonight. So what do? I immediately get on the ball. I message Big Time Mike. He immediately messaged me back. He says, yes, I'm free any Wednesday. I'm free tonight. I said, oh, you're free tonight. Hell yeah. He said, I'm fired up about this podcast. I've been waiting for this text message. Hell yeah. Yeah, we decide to film the podcast at 7 p.m. At 6 p.m., I get a phone call from Big Time Mike. Hey, brother, my wife is not about it tonight. Is there any way we can postpone to maybe tomorrow? I said, I got a busy schedule tomorrow, maybe next Wednesday. He said, okay, well, let's schedule for next Wednesday. So the goal is to have Big Time Mike on the podcast next week. But at this point, anything could happen. Anything could happen.
But guys, I want to say
What you
this.
boys think about all this? Yeah, go ahead.
One, I do appreciate Mike. He was willing to do it last minute. And life happens. And if I know Mike, and I do, if he could have, he would have been here tonight. Fact.
Oh, yeah.
But, second thing, I like building anticipation, right? I like letting you guys know who the next guest is going to be. But at the same time, this is kind of why I like when we had Pac-Man and we surprise people. Because it's like, you don't get people's expectations up. And at the same time, it's a nice surprise when we do have somebody. So, who knows? We may have a guest next week. We may just shoot the shit next week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we might, this week, actually, we might just be shooting the shit.
We have no idea because literally an hour ago, we had Big Time Mike in mind, thinking about questions, thinking about storylines and stuff to go over with Big Time, everything.
I did so much prep work. I was watching Big Time Mike matches. Guys, I'm distraught.
Now we're here with no topic, honestly. We just kind of we thought, hey, we just will get on here, explain things, and just go off the cuff, and still gonna talk KBW, and just wherever comes to mind, of course. But we're just trying to figure it out as we go. We didn't want to miss another week, of course,
no.
of the pod, because we have members now. They're paying for this podcast. They're paying for the reacts. So we have to provide. We have to give them content. So here we are. But unfortunately, things happen. And as we get, I'm going to say this, as we, Big Time is definitely going to get on here. He wants to be on here. But after that, I don't really know. It's for guest wise, because we are trying to get Paul Wall, but as you know, Paul Wall is very busy, working man. Mick the Brick, T-Rex, they got beef now. Mick the Brick apparently has beef with us. Doesn't want to do anything with us now. T-Rex ghosted us, like the one that got away in high school. So I don't know. Who knows, bro? You know, it just
We do want to get the Beast Stone. The Beast, however, lives in Georgia. Okay, so the problem with this is I care about the quality of the videos that we put up, right? So when me and AK and Dozer film this, we don't just film this on a live streaming platform that gives us crappy quality. We film this with good, high quality cameras. They send their footage to me. I then edit it all up, put it together, sync the video, the audio. We record our audio and video separately. It's a whole rigmarole of things. With the Beast being in Georgia, he can't be like the other guests. D-Man come to me. Bulldozer went to Mr. O. Pac-Man came to Bulldozer's house. He wouldn't be able to do that. So we have to set up a different type of recording link. I don't know if he's got the proper equipment. So there's like a bunch of things that we would have to do to get his audio and video the way we want it. But he is a future guest as well. The Beast will be on the pod. I will figure out a way to get him on the podcast.
And unfortunately, the rest of the guys who work for KBW are crackheads. So we can't invite them.
We can't say that. Okay, there's been some former KBW people, I won't name names, that did get into drug abuse. Okay, guys, that's all we'll say about that. We don't need to name names at all.
No. I just want to give clarity to the audience and why some people would never show up in KBW. It's not that we don't like them. It's not that we despise them or we got beef. Well, I honestly don't have beef with anybody to be for real. It's just their lives are just totally different from ours. They're in a totally different headspace. I know a lot of people want to see certain people, and it's just, I'm sorry to tell you, it's probably never going to happen. It's not going to happen through some specific people. It's just not going to happen because I know a lot of people get in their heads about, oh yeah, you gotta get this person on, thinking in their mind they're going to see that person 10 years ago. And it's just, that person is not that person anymore.
No, I mean, we
were all going through pivotal moments in our life. We were going through moments like we're at an age where you're discovering yourself. You're going down different paths in life, and so it's one of those weird things where people did not care about KBW as much as we cared about KBW, right? People didn't care about us as people as much as we cared about us as people, right? There's people that we just don't consider friends anymore. And while that is sad, and while we will be forever connected through KBW, it's the reality of everyday life, especially when this much time has passed.
It is. I mean, think about just how even hard it is for us to get together. You know, like you said, you live in Oklahoma, AK lives in New York. You know, I'm still here in Bama. It is literally through the sheer power of us just wanting to get together, to talk to each other, to reminisce, to have a good time doing this, you know, because our lives, if we think about them, are just completely different.
Yeah, and just touch on that, a lot of friendships end by people moving far away. You know, I'm happy and lucky that we all stay in touch and we all still try our best to see each other, in real life, and hang out as much as we can. And talk to each other, because a lot of people, man, they get distant as soon as you move far away and stop talking less. So,
Speaking of which, I do want to point out, this past weekend I wrestled in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and that is about an hour away from my hometown of Mobile, Alabama. And so I went and seen some family, and who did I text and say, hey, do you want to come watch this show with me? Do you want to come be my guest at this indie show? None other than the Bulldozer. And me and Dozer, we drove to the show. He watched me wrestle. He sold merchandise for me. We talked. We laughed. We ate together. We had a great time. And oh man.
Oh, you missed it, AK. You missed that classic Whataburger. Oh. God.
Oh my God. The Whataburger. The late night Whataburger.
Can't beat it. Slaps, bro. Can't beat it.
I miss those nights, bro.
Man.
That's the only reason I ever went out was the Whataburger.
That's what he said.
The only reason I went out to like a bar or a club with Bulldozer and things, and we was in our college days. It was every time I was taking them home, whatever. We always went to Whataburger afterwards just because it's the best. I mean, I can't help it. I was like, I'm only doing this knowing I'm gonna get Whataburger at the end of the night, and I was like, that was enough for me.
And it was worth it.
It was worth it every time. It was that damn good.
But
and unfortunately, they don't have Whataburger up here in New York, so I'm missing it.
I do want to say this though, guys. I did upcharge.
Distance make the heart grow fonder.
I did upcharge Fuego's merch, so secretly I made like 20 extra bucks per thing I sold over there. I didn't tell him until right now. He'll never get that money. But I also want to say this. I've seen you guys say it before. I know you know. KAGE, Fuego, likes to brag about himself a lot. You know, it comes off as a little arrogant. But I'll say this. From watching this man Saturday night, he is just that damn good. I mean, he's amazing, guys. Like,
he
seriously.
backs it up.
Like, seriously, like, if you think he's good from KBW, he's 10 times better now. Like, dude's amazing. He's phenomenal.
Stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep talking right now. No, but for real, it was oh man, it was a good time. It was a good time, man. I have said this in the past couple weeks because, especially when I broke my foot last year, I doubted myself a lot. But I can confidently say I'm the best wrestler I've ever been in my life. Right
There's
now.
no
I'm
doubt.
just clicking on all cylinders.
Yes, sir.
I believe in myself. I believe I can have a good match with anyone. You can put me in there with a broomstick and I'll make it look good.
Pretty much did.
That was a good inside joke.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
However.
Oh God.
This is actually a good little bit of a teaser for what is gonna eventually be our own separate podcast that we're gonna start to talk about everything else. Because, yeah, what I loved about last week's podcast, and I had questions about this. Will you do another breakdown of a match as a full podcast? And I could absolutely see us doing more of that if that is something y'all would be interested in.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed breaking down the pod.
1 second. You're out of focus. I just want to let you know right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, sir. Thank you, kind sir. There we go.
Right,
back.
Yeah, we good.
Thank you, baby. Yeah, you know, we would be down to, like, I know a lot of people talked about that leather strap match, and I would be down to do a react and a break. It's like, it's hard to even do a react because it's like so long of a video, but we could do a whole podcast breakdown for sure.
It could be. I mean, we're still thinking about doing. I mean, we are going to do it eventually, but you know, it's just your schedule this month has been crazy. But the YouTube, you know, live. We want
live stream. We got to do all or nothing. We still got to do all or nothing for sure.
And the letter strap match could be one of those too. If we do another live streams because it's so long. So
it is. It is. We could also break down a couple matches like that. I mean, I know me and Bulldozer could react to Bama Kid versus Bulldozer 2. And or 3, I should say, team qualifier, KBW qualifier. It's a longer match as well. You know, me and him could talk about that match and compare it to number 2. All ideas that we could break down matches more as a whole podcast, if that's something you guys would be interested in. And we'll sprinkle in guests here and there as well. I feel like there's only a few people, you know, outside of the crew that we've already named that would be a good guest. I mean, depending on the right circumstances, maybe a CJ, maybe a Maxilla, maybe someone of that nature, but I just don't see them wanting to do it and seeing the logistics of making it happen.
And we could bring some of the guests back. I know Pac-Man was a huge success. I'm sure he'd be willing to come back. So
we'd have more stories and to do another react with him. D-Man, another one is that we want to bring back, and we really didn't even touch on our pro careers yet with Mr. O, because he was involved in some fun stuff in our pro careers. So we do have some other stuff coming. Also, we will get into the crossovers that we did, right? I'm thinking about having Myron Reed on as a guest, maybe Cameron Jackson and a Drew Hood as a guest.
God, Cameron's hilarious.
Sammy.
You know,
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara, maybe. I don't know about Sammy. That's a big ask. It's a big old ass, but he might be able to.
Yeah,
do
I mean, he needs a job right now.
Oh my God!
I'm joking,
my God.
Sammy. I love you if you're watching this. If not, you know, who cares?
Don't worry, bro. Don't worry. Hey, he's not watching this. He's not watching this. I guarantee it.
Someone clip it out though and DM him.
Nope, they're not gonna do that. I'm starving. I'm gonna eat food while we talk. So just y'all two say something.
It's a
I'm gonna eat
podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is off the cuff podcast. That's what we're
Yeah.
doing. Like you said, bedtime. Last minute had to reschedule, so we just here, reminiscing KBW. Not just KBW, just our friendship. Things going on in our lives. So that's what we're here to do. I just got done eating 8-3 hamburgers. It was delicious.
Mm.
It was a good time.
Also, WrestleMania is coming up. Should we do a prediction show
Ooh,
I like
about WrestleMania?
yeah.
I think it would be fun to do a prediction
I
show
like
about
it.
WrestleMania. Y'all tell us. Y'all tell us in the chat. It could be a live stream. We could maybe even we live react to WrestleMania if we get a chance to watch it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
it. The What If podcast. We still got it, but we don't want to do it this week because it's like
Last minute. We didn't want to do it last minute.
KAGE just talked about, I think the What If podcast will be a big one, a good one. And we kind of want to plan it out, talk about, what could have been, some big story ideas and stuff. So,
And it all also it's prep from all of us because I feel like would be cool, and I think that's what we're gonna do is each of us have our own like storyline what we would have done. Like we don't say it to each other. We write down what we would have think what should have happened, or what we would have done, and we kind of just like at the podcast we say if it crosses over, if it overlaps, that's cool. But I just think it'd be a fun idea that we all just kind of write it down and say, hey, if we had one more season, what would the storyline be or something like that.
that would be pretty cool. That'd be really good.
Yeah. Just throw out some ideas and see what the audience thinks. Who had the best.
But here's the deal: are we going fully fantasy booking?
Yeah.
If because we know some of these guys wouldn't have been available. We know some of these guys wouldn't have wanted to do
I think we're going with.
Do you do it to try to be more realistic, or do you just fantasy book?
I think we
No,
do
gotta
it.
be a little bit more realistic.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
A little bit.
Realistic. Like
I mean, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna have a main event with Too Quick. And then
well, yeah, of course not. Of course not. But I'm saying, at that point, Paul Wall was done, but I think we should include Paul Wall in the plans. I think if they were consistent enough.
Paul wasn't done. Paul would actually be a part of it. Paul was not done at that time.
If you in your mind that you can talk okay, I can definitely get this guy to do KBW again, then yes.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't get Fireman in a fantasy match, what if match. But I think if they were consistent enough and they just maybe fell off that last season when all of us kind of did, then we put them, we book them.
I mean, that's the thing we should clarify too. We didn't fall off, okay? So
this is life,
February of 2014, me and AK started pro wrestling training, right? Dustin was a part of that. So a lot of our Saturdays that we were doing KBW was took up by wrestling training or I was also in the middle of my senior season of soccer at that time. So we had tournaments on the weekends, right? So it's like a bunch of that time I was either doing tournaments for soccer or we were training to be pro wrestlers.
And the soccer team was really good
in
that year.
They were great. We went to state that year. I'm trying to think, was there any other KBW people on the team? I don't believe so. AK, he didn't play that year. He played the following year. He didn't play the year that we went to state.
No, I did play that year. I just I got
quit halfway.
I think I kicked off the.
No, you quit.
I either quit or got kicked off because I remember. I'm trying to remember. I remember.
Oh yeah, you were jacking off.
No. I hated practice. Right, like I hated it, and also I wasn't getting a lot of playing time, so I wasn't taking it as seriously as other guys. I was kind of like I was a bench warmer. Let's just say tell it is. But I did love soccer. I wasn't great at it, but I did love it. I was pretty fast. I say I was my best in attribute. I was pretty fast. I was pretty quick on my feet, but. Other than that,
and then the following year there was a new coach, and you did play. And
I did play under him. But the previous coach, he stuck with the guys he knew. Like he really he didn't use the bench at all. He just said, "These are my starters. They're just gonna play the whole entire game," type of guy, which is fine. But anyway, I hated practice.
Oh, go ahead.
I hated practice so much. Like I remember, like it was time for practice, and I would just sleep in my car. And I remember that was a big thing. Like, it's like always, just like I just take days off and sleep in my car. I think I think the coach saw it or someone said something and it's like, yeah, you're done or something like that. Or I just said, yeah, I probably should be done. So, but yeah, I did play the following year. The following year, I played the full season. But
hell yeah! And so then we were also, because we were trained to be pro wrestler, our main trainer would go to indie shows on the weekend, and he'd invite us to go with him. And so we'd learn and go on the road with him, and we would watch matches, and we would referee. Both me and AK did some refereeing while we were still training before we actually made our pro debut. I graduated in May 17th from high school, May 17th of 2014, and literally a week later, we debuted. May 24th was our first match of 2014, me and AK. So like that whole year was just so busy. And then we had already got in our minds that summer we were going to Atlanta to work with Myron Reed to do KBW versus BEW.
Yep.
We did that this summer. But at the end of that taping, me and Myron Reed had a big falling out, which made me not even want to post a bunch of the BEW content. Mm-hmm. Then I moved away to Oklahoma for college in August. And so it wasn't until Thanksgiving and Christmas break that I come home that we even discussed trying to do that Paul Wall match. Or maybe it was the summer we discussed doing the Paul Wall match, but then it just didn't work out. And then we tried to film some other stuff anytime I had a chance to come home during Thanksgiving or Christmas or, any type of summers, the next couple summers. But
I don't know if it's too early to tell this story, but I do have a fun story I want to interject here. I don't know if it's like you'll probably get you could continue your thought and I'll say it because I don't know if you might get to it.
So it's not like that we all dropped off. It was just literally we were so busy, and then I left. I just left. I left the state of Alabama. I got a soccer scholarship in Oklahoma. I come up here. I met my wife, was girlfriend at the time. We had a child. We got married. I was then, like this was my home fully. And we tried to come back and film some seasons. We tried to come back. And like I did manage to film the final 5 episodes that we put up as the KBW finale. Because like as much as I wanted to do KBW, I was also full-time as a pro wrestler at that point. Years deep into pro wrestling, and it felt weird to have your foot still halfway in backyard wrestling and in pro wrestling. It just didn't feel like I'd get the respect I deserved if I did that. That I wanted to deserve, earn if I did that. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we could have done. Paul was still there. Renegades was still active. I want to say even Major Brown at that point was still there. So like he could have been a part of fantasy booking plans. So, I mean, the What If episode is coming, and I would love to hear you guys talk about your what ifs. What are your dream matches that never happened that should have happened? What were your favorite moments? Or what if you could have booked it, how would you have booked it? If we did 3 more pay-per-views, right? What would the pay-per-views names have been? Will we run back the other pay-per-view names? All of that fun stuff. We just couldn't do this on an hour's notice tonight and do a what if episode. We will be planning the what if episode out and have a scheduled date for it. Like I said, I've been extremely busy with my independent wrestling schedule, but I will be better at scheduling out the podcast and the guest and knowing what we're talking about each week, so we don't have a week like we just had where we didn't have anything planned or slipping up on the uploads.
And like I said, the story I wanted to say, you didn't get to it, but there was a time, I can't exactly, you would probably remember better, Cage. I can't remember exactly the time frame. I don't know if it was, I don't know, it wasn't the final season. It was even earlier than that, I think, that we actually bought a trampoline. And me, Cage, and Big Time Mike put it together. So we was planning on doing another run. Like we had storylines coming out. We was doing it. We had me and Big Time Mike. I think this is when we did a lot of backstage stuff. I think I still have that. I'm going to share for the the KBW membership, the Difference Makers tier. They'll get that soon. Because we did film. I want to say I can't remember all the matches we did. I know it's a few things we filmed, but we just didn't get it out. And when we tried so hard, we do it.
One video did make it out. It was the Pac-Man versus the Bama Kid. It's the last match on the channel.
Okay,
right, that was the first one, and then we have some still filmed, including Royal Rumble 3 that will drop. Royal Rumble 3 will drop in March if you are a Difference Maker tier, you will get that match. But we have a couple matches with AK too that haven't went up.
So
I'm sorry, not March. April. I apologize.
April, okay. But yeah, like I was saying, we had it all figured out. We was like, hey, we would bring KBW back. There's so many. I even did the open challenges. You know, a lot of KBW diehards, but they remember that time when I did open challenges. That's when Fuego was gone. I wanted to still, keep the channel alive somehow. And I invited, Dozer. I had a few people I did the open challenge with, and that was going on.
Me as the Bama kid, as Hazard.
Exactly. KAGE had a double dip there just because, like I said, we couldn't get people then, just like we can't hardly get anybody now for the guests on the podcast. So that's just how.
We also did a bunch of crossovers, right? Me and AK and Big Time Mike, we traveled up to Pennsylvania and did a crossover. We traveled to North Carolina on multiple occasions. One time, AK went up there by himself. One time, AK went all the way to New York by himself. Yep, Newburgh.
Actually, it's not too far away from me anymore. It's actually right down not too far away.
And so there's going to be podcasts about all of that as well.
And that's what's crazy.
This is kind of just an update pod, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was just going to say how crazy that is about, because I never did the crossover, guys. Like I was scared.
I tried to bring him.
I was kind of scared for a long time to leave. But, you think about this. These guys were still kids, teenagers, traveling all the way across the country in their car just to do another backyard promotion. That's commitment. I mean, that's crazy.
Big Time Mike rented a car.
Oh, Big Time Mike, though.
Big Time Mike got a rental car, bro, and got us to drive with.
It got so wild that Big Time Mike, he started with KBW, of course. He was a big deal. It turned out that Big Time Mike became even closer friends with the guys that did the crossover than we did, which was insanity because he was always like, I went over there once by myself. Me and KAGE did it a few times, but Big Time Mike, every single time they had, I feel like he was over there. They did a crossover. He was always over there, so he was. I know a lot of people want to, I don't know where this comes from. I see a few comments saying people they didn't like Big Time Mike or whatever, but man, that dude, he's so committed to wrestling, bro. I just, oh man, you should have seen him in the KBW days, like also the crossover days. Like he was so into wrestling, like still is to this day. It's just like he has an actual life now as a coach, teacher, all that mess. But we'll get
so much so that he he's the genesis of the crossovers. He went and planned all of this without telling us. He went to be a part of this big event called Best in the Yard 2 without even speaking to me, or just Best in the Yard 1, without even speaking to me and AK about it. He just drove up there and wrestled this crazy-ass match.
Yes.
And we didn't even know he was going. We were like, bro, you should have told us. We would have went. Yeah. Like, that's how dedicated he was to backyard wrestling at the time. That's how much he still wanted to do it. He got that itch from KBW, and we couldn't give it to him. So he traveled 9 hours to North Carolina to scratch that itch.
And he still loves us, guys. Not only is he a member, he's been waiting to be a guest on this pod, and we've been denying him because we've been trying to hold off, as we get down on the story. But, I mean, this man, Mike, is just amazing. As I've said before, if you got to rank the people of KBW, it's KAGE, a.k.a. me. Fourth is no doubt Big Time Mike. I mean, he is a pivotal member.
Yeah. I know a lot of people want to throw Pac-Man.
Just by his sheer passion. Yeah.
Yes, because I feel like that's really based on a lot of nostalgia. And they were good, don't get me wrong, but man, Big Time, he's just so dedicated. And he was really, like, one of the best talkers we had in KBW. Like, he was amazing. Like, every time he was on, like, he was so good at being that character. And, like, I remember the first time he did a promo. Like, I remember it, like, it's so, like, ingrained in my mind. I was like, wow. I was like, this guy's incredible. I was amazed. I was like, I did not, like, because he's cool. He's kind of chill. Like, he's like, kind of southern chill guy. But he's kind of like me, bro. When the camera's on, he just turns it on. I was like, yeah, bro, Mike's my guy. Hell yeah. I was like, then Yeah, he really surprised me when he started doing those promos, you know. And he had catchphrases already. I was like, this dude came prepared. He had his own moveset already. He knew exactly who he wanted to be, who his character was, what his moves were going to be, already planned out before he even got to KBW, which is awesome. I can't speak highly of Mike enough because he really is amazing.
It's this to go back what you said is like definitely Pac-Man and D-Man are right there as people think as like the top stars of KBW, and that's the problem is that Big Time Mike only got to the back end, but like those guys weren't passionate about the wrestling. They weren't passionate about doing it. They did it for fun. They had a good time. They might love the memories of KBW, but during the moment, they were not as passionate as us. Hell, at some points, Big Time Mike was more passionate about KBW than the Bulldozer was about KBW.
I swear he was.
And that's just being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where we were trying to film extra matches in maybe 2016, 2017, or 2016 probably, that Bulldozer was hard to get a hold of. He just wasn't feeling it, didn't want to do it. You know, Big Time Mike drove an hour each time to get there, to film stuff, to do stuff with us. And then to touch on AK's point, it is a night and day difference between Michael Miles and Big Time Mike.
Yes.
Michael Miles, I met him at my school. We're the same age. He is the most reserved, shy, quiet, raises his hands, answers the question, smart man, very reserved. You would never think when I first met him that he was going to transform into Big Time, like that he had that in it. And so when that camera turned on, he would find these vests. He'd write Big Time on vest. He'd make his own attire. He'd have his strut, have his walk, have his moves. The dude is crazy. The switch that flips in his head to go from Michael to Big Time Mike, and it's awesome, and we love it. And we can't wait to get him on the podcast next week. And I'm sure he's smiling right now if he's listening to this.
Oh yeah, for
as
sure.
he should be.
Mike's
Because
awesome. That's
why he's the last KBW World Champion for a reason. Even though some people hate that,
Right.
he's that good.
I mean, it's like you said, right? It goes back, and I don't want to talk about Mike Harley anymore because we're gonna have him on, and you know we saved some of this for that.
Sure, yeah.
But this last thing, you know, while I understand kind of how people may have hated on him being the last champion, it's because of what he did behind the scenes, you know, and how dedicated, how what we saw that everybody else didn't see, and he deserved it.
I even admit he was more dedicated than me at one point. I was like, I'm telling you, he was. I was trying to bring it back, but he's trying to bring it back even 10 times more. I remember this specifically, but that's when Fuego was gone, and I remember I was talking to him a little bit, saying we were trying to bring KBW back. I remember, I think a constant, it had to be a month or two straight. He would call me and text, "Hey, are we still thinking about doing that KBW that running back?" He's like, "I'm ready, bro." He's like, "Anytime you want me, I'll be there." I was like, man, I was kind of at that point. It's like, man, I don't know if we should do it. It's like, is it gonna be the same? I was just kind of like, what should be what's the story gonna be? And Big Time's like, let's do it, come on. Like Cage said, we gave him that backyard wrestling, he loved wrestling itch, and he wanted to wrestle every single weekend. Like, I'm telling you right now, if Big Time Mike could, him right now himself would be wrestling every weekend like Fuego Del Sol is. I'm telling you, if he could, he would do it. Because that's how passionate and love of wrestling this man is. Like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, the only thing he loves more than wrestling is his wife. And
Exactly.
That's the only reason he's probably not a pro wrestler right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's awesome. He's awesome for
Yes.
sure. But what were we talking about before we got on the subject of Big Time Mike?
Oh, we were just talking about the crossovers and stuff we did.
Yes, yes.
People. We're talking about guests. You know, you have Myron on,
Yes.
we have Cam, maybe Sammy, but
So yeah, that's what the future holds for KBW. I did though manage to ask everyone to write in some questions for us to answer right here close to the end of the podcast. So, let's go ahead and answer one of these. I like the fact though that this guy commented last week, or he commented last week, said, "Damn, it's been a week. They're going again, boys." Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. Bro, he just is like, They're done, bro. They missed the episode. It's over, bro. It's over.
We know what this
the
means.
The hiatus
bro.
has begun.
Wait, as soon as they miss a appointment, it's over. They're never coming back.
Yep. This is a question for the Bulldozer. Is there any hope for you to get into professional wrestling like AK and KAGE? This was asked by IZXYYT. Is it?
I'm not gonna say never. Say never, because like I said, I watched KAGE this past weekend, and there was a guy in there. What was his name? You probably remember. Anyway, he was a larger guy, larger than me even, and he was pretty good. I mean, he was.
Oh, you're talking Angel Camacho.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty good, and that's what I love about wrestling. It doesn't matter your size; anybody can get in the ring, and I honestly feel like if I did get back into training, KAGE maybe even could train me himself if he come home. I could do it. I could definitely do it at one point. If KAGE ever come to me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna start my own indie scene," I would be involved in it somehow, whether it was commentating, reffing, anything, So.
Ooh.
I would love to train Joser for one match at least, bro. Because I feel like if he just did one, it would give him the itch to want to do more.
And I want to push back on something Dozer said, that anybody could get in there. There's some people that definitely shouldn't be in there.
No. That's not what I mean.
Let's just be honest.
Any shape and size. He means any shape and size.
I mean any shape and size. There's definitely people that shouldn't be in there. My God.
Because they don't have the mental capacity to be a wrestler,
exactly.
I would say.
All up here.
But yes, I do believe Dozer could have a match. And Dozer did train. He did 4 or 5 sessions with us. He learned how to flip bump, worked on his rolls, was working on a bunch of things. And I don't want to get into Dozer's personal life, but he's making a lot of strides to get in a lot better shape in the coming months. And so who knows when he's fully transformed his body the way he wants to transform it, what he feels like doing at that point, So
Roids.
You never know. This podcast has been wild.
Off the rails.
Son of a gun.
Off the rails. Love it.
The champ asked, will there be an episode where KAGE and AK talk about crossover shows they did? Maybe on the one about Big Time Mike. There will be episodes about that. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Ash Crimson asked, are any of the KBW obscure characters going to be guests on the pod? Like Tornado or J.O. I don't see them being guests on the pods. However, I would not be shocked if we got a couple of the referees on here. Bulldozer spoke of his nephew, Landon, his little cousin. I don't know if his nephew or cousin, but this dude was the biggest KBW fan. He refereed a bunch of our matches. He was like 8, 9 at the time, if that. And I know how he still watches KBW podcast to this day.
He does.
And so I wouldn't be shocked if we got him on just to let him talk and be a part of it. I think he might have even been in Royal Rumble 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
I mean, he's definitely still passionate about it. I think if we could have kept KBW going, he definitely would have been a part of that next generation to do it. And he'd definitely be down to be on the pod.
And then I have another brother, a half-sibling, named Gavin. He was the Cyclops ref, one-eyed Cyclops. He was born blind in one eye. That's why we called him the Cyclops. He came up with the name, and he refereed
so messed
matches. He came up with the name. We didn't do it. He's the one who was like, yeah, I'm the Cyclops. Like, he's always embraced it. And he's hilarious.
Gavin is
He's
awesome.
Hilarious, bro. He used to have a glass eye.
Gavin is awesome.
He used to walk up to people with a glass eye, and he'd pull it out just halfway, and he'd hit the back of his head and have his eye pop out into his hand. And he'd be like, "Oh my God!" and scare people.
That's awesome.
That's how funny he is, right? Bro. The one-eyed Cyclops.
Me and Dozer
he watched the podcast. He's been commenting and stuff on the pod.
Me and
so
Dozer
I wouldn't be shocked
got
if
a funny Gavin story. Just random one night, we was playing. I think was it Siege?
Yeah, we were playing Siege, bro. It was random. We were random matchmaking, in-game chat, playing Rainbow Six Siege, and all we hear over the game chat is that AK? It's fucking Gavin. Like we matchmake with this guy on our team randomly.
My brother.
Randomly.
And see, he didn't grow up.
Siege.
He didn't grow up with me and my brothers. Like me and CJ and D-Man grew up in the same household. He would only come over 3-4 times a year. He lived with his mom a little far away. And so he didn't grow up with the same sense of athletics as us, or the same roughness and toughness that we grew up with. He wasn't really into sports like that. So he never had a desire to be a wrestler or to play any sports. But it was a lot of that was hard with his, disability. However, he did enjoy being around us, he loved how successful we were. He loved the filming aspect of it. And so he did come around a lot just to hang out and to referee because he enjoyed that. So I know we could talk to him about a bunch of fun things because he'd have a just interesting perspective, and he's just hilarious. So we'd love to get him on the pod.
Well, that's another thing.
Eventually as well.
That's another thing, kind of behind the scenes I've discussed it with KAGE and AK. But, I'd like to do maybe when bringing them on, Gavin or Landon, kind of a podcast episode about how KBW has affected, or impacted your life, and we can kind of give our perspectives of how it's impacted our lives. They can, and obviously, like I said, if you're a member, I would like to be able for you to be able to send a short video, maybe say if you want to, saying how it affected your life growing up. So I think that'd be a good pod idea.
I love it. I love it for sure. We just got to plan accordingly, the next couple months of podcast out and see if we can't get those set up. Gamer says, whatever happened to Jace the Ace? He seemed like a good rival for D-Man. It was a dream match. I was excited to see.
Everybody, I hear that comment more.
Jace.
So much.
Yeah.
Jace was my stepbrother. My mom and dad, we talked about multiple times, had divorced. She remarried to another man. Jace was my stepbrother for the time. She since divorced his dad, so Jace is no longer my stepbrother. But he lived 20 minutes away. And so he also had to go back and forth to his mom's, house. So like some weekends he wouldn't be available because he was traveling to his mom's house. So I would be able to go pick up D-Man, but I wouldn't be able to get Jace the Ace as often. He was a part of 3 or 4 videos. And he was coming along. He wasn't a wrestling fan, but he did enjoy being a part of it. But that's why. It's like eventually I moved away. And by the time I got back for the final season, he had moved back in with his mom. They had moved to a different spot. So he wasn't even around for the last 5 episodes. But I definitely got love for Jace the Ace for sure. BB Guy says, how did you go about planning and calling matches? Simple enough, right? We figure out what the story needed, who wanted to wrestle, especially early on. And then we would get on the trampoline and we would just plan out every move of the match. And I would be tasked with remembering every move of the match. And then we would go over it multiple times. Sometimes we would go over a match for like 2 hours just to film like a 12 to 13, 14-minute match. AK, do you have any memories of how long we used to plan some of these matches?
Oh my God, bro. Hours, 2 or 3 hours just planning the match, and probably another 30, 40 minutes just doing the match actually. We'd be so tired by the time we do the actual match. Like, because we rehearsed it like 2 or 3 times, like the entire match. So it's like, all right, we got it. Because we actually like, I wouldn't say like do every single move, but we do a lot of the moves already before we even film, just to get the groove of it. We do all the sequences, make sure we in this spot and that tire us out for like a couple of hours. It's like, okay, now we're ready to film it. I was like, fuck, bro, we already tired. Now we gotta actually do it. So definitely was a long process, but that's what made KBW, the best. That's how we did that.
Yeah, we would plan and work on different moves and spot ideas, and I would memorize it, and then during the matches, I would be calling it and whispering into their ear or whispering what the next spot is. And eventually, AK got so good that he could do that. Mm-hmm. And, and it was even rare that I let him. I would still pretty much plan it. He would just call it. He wasn't doing a lot of the planning, but he got good at calling spots eventually and planning spots.
Mhm.
And then we've already talked about the infamous triple threat match that I let the Bulldozer plan out with him, the Beast, and Pac-Man that ended up being really good as well. That's the gist of how we did it. But sometimes, like, I remember Royal Rumble 2 took all damn day to plan. Oh my God.
The more people, the longer it took, because you'd have people.
Oh yeah.
You know, when you don't have someone's focus and they're not in that moment, they're gonna be over there messing around,
Playing around.
You know.
Yeah.
And I was guilty of that myself, because, but you know.
I think we had that full day started. I think everyone was there about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock during the day. I don't think we got done to like 5:30, 6 o'clock that evening.
Oh, it'd be
until dark. Some nights until dark.
Yeah.
We would
you
go
can see
until
it
dark.
in the videos.
Yes.
And we got one match out of that sometimes, where it's like, it took us like 6 hours to get one match done.
But I usually get so mad at this
worst.
man, Cage, because he would make you do a spot over and over until you got it. And I'd be so damn tired. And I just be so pissed with him. But I remember it specifically because, like, we kind of jump in there, brainstorm where he would brainstorm, come up with spots. And then we'd run through the match again until we got it right. Mm-hmm. And then one final time, I remember we kind of half-speed it just to make sure. Because he tried to make sure you remembered, as much as you could. Obviously, there's a lot going on. He would whisper to you if you forgot or needed remembering. But we would run through it multiple times for the final match.
Well, God forbid I'm ready to throw a super kick and you don't know it's coming and I clock you in the face, And so it's like you said, it's like it wasn't practice it until we get it right. It was practice it until we don't get it wrong, And it's crazy how much that's helped me in my indie run because, like, my memory is insane. Like, so much of wrestling now, you have to call it in the back and memorize a match or spot and then do it in the ring. And I am just impeccable at it. I'm really good at being able to do both. Call it in the ring and call a match in the back. I was talking to William Regal a couple weeks back, and he told me, he's like, this business has went from improvisation to memorization. Improv to memorizing it, And he used to just go out there and you'd improvise, and now you memorize. And so it's a different type of structure, but we were already doing that in the backyard, so it helped lend it to me in the pros. This user says, why did you guys choose Big Time as the final heavyweight champion?
Well, we kind of talked about that.
We kind of talked about that, but next week we'll answer that more fully.
Yeah.
With Big Time Mike, or whenever that podcast is, if it's not next week. Warm Kessel says, this is for Fuego, a.k.a. KAGE. In the earlier seasons, like before Paul Wall, who is one wrestler you wish you pushed more looking back at it? In the earlier seasons, I don't. Maybe D-Man. I mean, but eventually he won the Money in the Bank. I feel like we pushed everyone adequately. Bulldozer come in, first world heavyweight champ, AK, first undisputed champ. I think we pushed everybody in a good capacity, right, boys?
Maxilla were Rumble winner.
You love bringing that up. I swear to God, that was your idea, and you love bringing it up.
I love it.
Warm also says, who is the GOAT of KBW, and why is it the Bulldozer?
Hey, let's go! Hell yeah!
Nice.
Trevor Brooks asked, would you guys bring Myron Reed on the podcast? I love KBW versus BEW crossover. KAGE and Bad Reed was awesome, as well as the triple threat with AK. That is the goal. I haven't talked to Myron about it, but I do think he would be up for it, for sure. Michael Baxley asked, what up, people? Difference maker here. What up?
What up?
And then Just to Do asked, ever think about opening a school and being a head trainer somewhere? Question for either AK or Fuego. Also, AK's my fave, Aldo Nero.
Yes, Aldo Nero. Shout out. He's always in my Twitch streams. I ain't even talked about my Twitch in a while. The Assassin AK on Twitch. I'll be streaming over there. We've been streaming Helldivers too with the boys. Fuego Del Sol, the Bulldozer. When it works, when the game's not bugging out on us,
So my plan was to open up a school, but because of my busy schedule, I don't think it would be fair to my trainees. However, I did get hired on as the head trainer of Texoma Pro Wrestling Academy in Ardmore, Oklahoma. It takes me about 35 minutes to get to the spot. It's about 35 minutes from my house, but twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I travel to Ardmore and I do train people. And so I am a head trainer somewhere. I do have my own Fuego curriculum. While it's not quite the Fuego Dojo, I do have my own school pretty much.
My dream is my vision, guys. I want Fuego to make it to WWE. I know he will, but maybe after his run in WWE, maybe after he retires, he comes back to Bama. He opens up a gym/school, right? We open it up together. All right. Then he starts his own indie scene, right? We start recording these bad babies like KBW, upload them to YouTube. Glory days are back.
I don't even have to get signed right now. If I got signed to TNA right now, I could easily move back to Bama as long as they'd be agreeing to fly me. And we could do that now. I do believe I could easily set that up, you know. And it's going to take time. But that has always been a goal of mine, is to uplift the independent scene in Alabama, in Mobile, Alabama. I would love to start a big indie show there and do my thing there. But we'll see. We'll see.
And as for me, no, I don't plan on training anybody. I don't think I'll be. I just don't think I'll be a great trainer. I don't have that type of mind. Really, like, have the patience for it. I don't think, because it takes a lot of patience. You know, when someone's new, you kind of go over the basics again with them, and a lot of times they just won't get it, and you kind of get frustrated, like, how you're not getting this. And so I don't think I can ever really be like have the patience to be like a teacher or a trainer or anything like that. So I think I just leave that to Fuego, to be honest.
A couple weeks ago when we talked about T-Rex being on the pod, Rensler asked the question, says, when they do arrive, can you mention that T-Rex's sister almost became part of the show, and whether that would have been brought up on screen or not? Would have loved to hear more about that. I mean, we did have an interest in getting girls to wrestle for us. I mean, we did at one point almost have Max Zilla's sister wrestle one of AK's girlfriends. That was a goal.
Yeah.
It did not happen.
Nope.
But it would have been something fun, I think. Max Zilla had a couple sisters that we thought about getting, being a part of KBW. T-Rex's sister, though, I really don't know. I don't know if she would have ever really done it fully.
I think we almost had China convinced to do it, did we not?
Did we have China?
I remember her being down. We just couldn't find like another.
She definitely said she was down. She definitely said she was down. There was a girl at our school named China.
Not the actual China.
Coincidence.
No.
Not the country or the female wrestler back in the day.
Jack Allen asked, whose idea was it for Cage lifting Dozer? I remember how hyped that got me up as a kid. I mean, I always knew I wanted to do it, and I always knew I could get him up. I just never got to wrestle him. I knew I got the beast up in a bunch of matches. And so then we knew that we were going to do the triple threat. And so I wrestled him in a number one contenders match the week before the triple threat. But I teased it there and had it fall on me. And then I teased it once more in the match before I actually hit it. I just knew I wanted to do it so bad. Because I knew I could get him up. Plus, Dozer, what a good brother. Gives me the big old bounce to help me up, to hold him up there for a second. Yeah. Paul Wall's crazy ass actually held him there.
Yeah.
Really crazy, bro. Strong as a motherfucker. Rice Cooker asks, hey, Cage, was there a story behind why you became Fuego Del Sol and wore the mask? And could we get a Cage-like character and you without the mask in the pro wrestling scene in the future? I think I kind of answered this on last week's pod. I definitely do think that'll happen. We'll see, though. It's going to take the right story, but I became Fuego because I was so small. I was 135 pounds when I started independent wrestling. It reminded my trainers of Rey Mysterio and WCW days. And so, putting on a mask gives you a different, you're not just a small kid, you're the mask kid, right? And it gives you a different dynamic. People are not just thinking about how small you are, they're thinking about how cool your mask is. It adds a dynamic to the character that's not just me being small. So that's why we donned the mask, and then I got the proper lucha training for it. That's pretty much it, guys, I believe. I mean, I'm going to refresh this one more time. Was there anything in the Discord that I missed?
I put in the Discord that I have questions for Paul Wall, but, so.
I'll go look at the Discord, but Parker Parker asked, what was the worst decision KBW made? Y'all both answer that.
The worst decision?
The worst decision?
Bringing Jacob Storm in. Oh, my God.
Jesus. When are you going to stop with this bit?
It's not a bit. It's real life.
I fucking hate him. Seriously, though.
Jesus.
Oh, jeez, man.
I just want to take this moment to let y'all know that we do have a Discord. It's in the description below. Check it out. Join the Discord. Anybody can join the general chat. There is a special questions only chat for members. You connect your Discord to your YouTube channel, and if you are a member on YouTube, it will connect your Discord and put you immediately in that channel already. But we are an hour deep. We gave y'all a little bit of everything tonight. A little bit of our lives. What was the worst decision?
Yeah.
That we stopped doing it.
Yeah.
That I moved to Oklahoma.
So you're saying your worst decision is you didn't meet your future wife?
No, I'm joking. Maxilla winning Royal Rumble 2. It should have been me. Should have been KAGE.
Look, guys, I like the Maxilla winning Royal Rumble 2, guy. I mean, we had to diversify. That was good diversification.
Again, I said it last time, I said it again. Coming from a guy who's already won a Royal Rumble.
But like that's just.
But you guys won all the titles. Y'all had all the gold all the time. At least we gave hope.
And I know, Fuego.
You won both belts too. Shut up.
I know
you won both the world in.
I knew Fuego didn't care for it to like it really, but I mean the worst decision. I don't.
No, I wouldn't say it's the worst decision. No, it's not the worst decision.
Oh, maybe putting the bet on CJ. Maybe. Could be.
I mean, it was for the story. It was a good decision. I don't think it was.
He was like the Roman. He was like our Roman Reigns. He didn't wrestle with the belt,
Again, I don't think any of these are the absolute worst decisions.
No. It was definitely. It's definitely.
I mean, people
stopping recording.
Fans would say that it was us giving Big Time Mike the last belt.
Yeah. Not giving D-Man a push.
I mean, we did push him a little bit. He wasn't as dedicated as we wanted him to be.
Well, I think, D-Man would have got a push. A lot of guys would have got more of a push. There's no doubt you would have put the belt on Paul Wall. All of these guys, if life wouldn't have just happened, if we could have kept doing it. And it goes back to saying the biggest mistake was stopping KBW, obviously.
Having AK beat me and you in the same night.
Fuck that guy. Fuck
really
him.
Doesn't even count. You had your foot on the ropes.
Worst decision at KBW, giving him a speed limit sign. Fuck AK.
Yeah, that's it. Letting AK use the speed limit sign and make it his signature.
It never ends.
Big thanks to all the KBW memberships for making this happen. And big thank you to my two co-hosts for jumping on here and bullshitting with me for an hour and 3 minutes. If you like us, let us know that you listen to our own separate podcast about life in general. Tell us what you think of all the ideas that we've talked about today. The what if, the sending in a video telling us what it meant to you. If we had our own separate podcast. All of these guests that we talked about. Tell us what you think. If you have special ideas for us, let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from you. We will be in the comments responding. So until next time, this has been the KBW Podcast. He has been the biggest and baddest, the Bulldozer. He has been the different from everybody else, AK-47. Oh my God. And I have been KAGE. See you next time. All the members in the credits. Peace.